Hey, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be opening up the Grainfather brewing system, which I've just received. One of the things that we'd like to do out in our garage is to start brewing some beer out there. We used to brew beer about, maybe the last time we did it was about 5 years ago, but haven't done it in a long time, so kind of keen to get back into it again. Previously, I would have brewed with beer kits, which are like pre-made, beer wort. Wort is the mixture that makes the base that makes beer. That would have bought and fermented. But this is actually this is kind of like an all grain brewing system. So what you do is what this system does is it actually heats up the water and the grain mixture, the wort, in this system here. It has kind of temperature controls that you kind of upload a recipe to, and you tell it like all the different quantities of stuff and the type of beer that you're making, and it will prompt you. There's a kind of a connected app on your phone, and it'll prompt you when you need to do various stages of the brew. And it also has some clever things like it's got some pumps and things as well in it that you use to chill the beer at the end of your brew, and it comes with this chiller here, you can see in the diagram, and that kind of pumps kind of cold water around like the little sort of temperature control belt in it, and that brings the beer's temperature down. And then once you're done with that process, you transfer the beer to a fermenting vessel where it sits for a week or a couple of weeks, kind of conditioning, and the yeast, settles down to the bottom, the yeast particles, and it also gets up to the kind of desired alcohol percentage that you want the beer to be at. There's a couple of formulas to kind of calculate that, but I won't get into that now. But once you've left it in the fermenter for a while, then it's ready to go into bottles, where it sits for another while, depending on what type of beer you're making. Some of them don't take as long as others do to condition. But yeah, generally you'd be done with the brew in about 5 or 6 weeks after you made it. So let's open up the box and get into it and see what treasures lie within. So now, ooh, boxes within boxes. So Grainfather are actually they're a New Zealand-based company, and they made this a couple of years ago. There's a few competing kits around that do similar things. This essentially lets you like do sort of craft brewery style brewing at home, to a degree. Obviously, it's not a full like brewery kit, but yeah. They have a bunch of other things as well. They have I didn't get this. This is a chiller that you'd use for like cooling your beer down. It plugs into this little fermenting vessel here. I just kind of got the basic fermenter for the moment because just starting out in this, so don't want to go completely nuts and get all this gear before we know what we need it for. So yeah, that's the lid. Just looks like kind of a standard pot lid, but the recirculation pump goes up through this hole here in the lid. Yeah. And now This is the unit itself. Let's see if we can lift it out. It's pretty heavy. It is very heavy. Oh yeah, these are in the way. There we go. Whoa. This is one big mother. Yeah, so I think a lot of this has to be sort of assembled. We've got some bits in kind of separate boxes here. There's this is a handle here which you use to lift this. There's two kind of separate vessels in here, and you lift one out to like let the beer kind of drain through it and catch all the material and everything and filter it. But yeah, that's what this handle is for. It sort of clips in there, and you lift that up, and all the water comes back down in. It's quite a clever design actually. It's very kind of self-contained. I got another small box here. What looks like very small kind of bits and pieces that you'd probably end up losing. So we'll keep those carefully. Yeah, there's lots of random stuff in there, pipe work and kind of screws and other things. We don't think we'll get into that now. Otherwise, we would be here for hours. Yeah, so that the Grainfather. So there's the unit, the kind of control, the brains of the operation sort of clip in there. This is the pump down the bottom. Let's see if we can get the plastic off. Actually, we can have a look inside. So I think there's more in here. Oh yes. Yeah, this is the screen, the filter that kind of lets all the beer, like all the particles, bits of hops and grain, kind of drain, or it catches them and filters them out. Yeah, so this is that's the control box. So it's kind of instructions in here. This so this guy plugs into the Grainfather. I think this looks like a temperature probe or something there, and there's there's like a little kind of small little logic unit, control unit. And yeah, I've used one of these before. I helped someone do a brew on one of these last year, and it is really, it's a very good system. Like, it works really well, and the results are incredible. Like, you do get very good beer out of it, assuming you do everything right. But yeah, I think we're going to start with like maybe a red ale or something here, like something not too temperature sensitive, because we're kind of getting into winter now, so there'll be like kind of fluctuations in temperature, and we want to maybe do something that doesn't that doesn't like have yeast in it, that just goes inactive and dies, when the temperature goes below a certain level. This thing is the recirculation chiller. So yeah, this basically takes at the end of the brew, you want to get the beer down as quickly as possible to a certain temperature, because you've been boiling it or well, not boiling it exactly, but heating it to 70 or 80 degrees, and you want to bring it down to like 25 or 30 degrees, say, for example, as part of your recipe. What this does is it pumps cold water around. It takes the heat out of the water and recirculates it. So you can bring your beer You can bring your beer down to the desired temperature, and that's all controlled by this kind of unit here. Yeah, I don't think there's much else in there really. Yeah, these are, as I said before, yeah, that's the pumps and things like that there. You turn that on and off there. It's incredibly well built actually. It's a really it's like a really solid piece of kit, you know. It's like nothing, no corners seem to have been cut anywhere with it. I'm gonna open the other box now. Yeah, see what's in here. It's quite tightly wrapped. Again. This is, I think what we've got in here is just kind of miscellaneous, like, things. Oh, yes, right. This is our fermenting vessel. So, this is actually where the beer will spend quite a bit of its time. It only stays in the the beer only stays in the Grainfather for a few hours at most at the start of the brew. But this is where the beer kind of gets its character, so it sits in here for a bit, and like for a couple of weeks or so, as I said before, depending on the type of brew that you're doing. I'm having trouble getting this out here. It's seriously stuck in. So you just empty it out. We're going to have to disassemble the box. Yeah. Beer does not come easy. Let's use the saw. That's better. Right. Okay. Down past the sellotape. I think we might be able to lift this out now. Yeah, there we go. Just being held in by vacuum. Sweet. Right. So, let's see what's in this box first. I can already see some grains in there. That's a good sign. They've shipped us a kit as well with us to get started with. So this is the fermentation vessel, and this is obviously a much more rudimentary device compared to the Grainfather itself there. But yeah, essentially just the beer sits in here for a period of time of your choosing, depending on the recipe, and the beer kind of develops flavors, and the yeast develops alcohol as well. The yeast are producing alcohol the whole time, feeding on the sugar and things that you put into the beer, and the yeast particles kind of fall to the bottom as well. So you clean the beer, you get it, you clear it from of all the things that are left over from the fermentation. This is a kind of an airlock. It stops it catches kind of the bubbles and all this the gases and things that the yeast produce as they're fermenting. So you put that in there, and that kind of you can watch it. You can see it doing this kind of bubbling kind of action. I believe you can get Internet of Things connected versions of these, which will tell you like what your beer is doing. So when you're not even when you're not in the house, you can kind of look and see what's happening with your beer. So yeah, that's it really. It's just a giant steel vessel with a tap on the bottom really for taking the beer out at the end. So nothing too complicated, as I said there. So what have we got in here? Alright. Oh yeah, big bag of cereals. So, American Pale Ale. These are some grains. And I believe, yeah, there's some hops in there as well. So we'll be using these to kind of do the first beer to sort of christen the Grainfather. We've got, these are hop pellets and things. Yeah, don't let customs catch you with those. Yeah, this has the recipe on it as well. So it tells you basically all the steps that you need to do, the various stages. What else have we got in here? Flexible tubing as well. So you always need a bit of that for kind of connecting things together, because when you need to do various kind of stages of transferring the beer around. So you need to use a pump or siphon to transfer it from the Grainfather to the fermenter, and then again, we could use the tap here as well, but you can also use these tubes and a siphon to siphon the beer out into bottles as well. And there's a special tool which we got for that. It's called a bottling stick. Basically what it does is you put this into the bottle, and there's a little switch valve on the bottom, and when you press it in, it releases the beer into the bottle, so the bottle fills from the bottom. It's quite it's a clever little thing. And what do we got here now? Okay, some other things. This is an automatic siphon. It makes it easier to sort of start the siphoning process of your beer. We have some other last few bits. These are carbonation drops. So when you're fermenting your beer, the yeast needs something to feed on, which is generally sugar. Now, previous brews that I've done, I've put like powdered sugar in. It's special brewer's sugar. It's essentially like glucose. But it's kind of messy, and it's sort of time consuming, because you have to measure out the exact amount every time into the bottle. Whereas this, you just put one drop in. It's got the exact amount, and it's no mess. So these are very, very handy little things. We have also something that's stuck in the box. There it is. Stirring paddle. This thing. This is really substantial. Actually, it feels good kind of weight to it. So you use that to aerate your beer. You get air into it, while it's boiling. Get all the yeast going, and get the hops and flavors and everything all kind of mixing nicely. Sterilizing fluid. Now this is very important stuff. As part, the kind of number one enemy of when you're making beer is infection of your beer. So you don't want other kind of yeast or something getting into your beer. And the way it usually gets in is through your equipment. So every time you use your equipment, or you do a thorough clean with this stuff, it's a self-foaming sanitizer, and you don't have to rinse this either as well, which is very. I've used some before, which are they're powder-based ones, and you have to do a thorough rinse because they leave a chemical taste on the equipment, which is not nice. You don't want that getting into your beer. Whereas this there's no rinsing required. You just dilute and soak your equipment in it, and then it's all ready to use. And then you do it again afterwards to sort of clean it up. A bottle brush as well. So we usually homebrewers go through several cycles of using different bottles. So you need a bottle brush just to clean out, any kind of the dregs or other stuff that have been left in the bottles after you've used them. This is another, this is a powdered cleaner actually that came with the Grainfather. So it's actually Grainfather branded. I didn't know this must have just come with it. So handy to have more cleaner as well. And last thing is, it's a clip for the auto siphon. So it just lets it clip onto the side of your fermenter here, and you can siphon out into the bottles or siphon from the Grainfather or whatever. So that's it. Yeah, lots of equipment, and all this has to be assembled. And I'm not sure when we'll get to the first brew, but it should be pretty soon. Because we've got all the stuff here we need. I think we've got our ingredients, got all the equipment. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So yeah, expect that in a future video. And thanks again. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.